Coming in at number 10, we have Roscoe's Little Accident. It can really take one slip up to ruin Thanksgiving, like when a dog named Roscoe got a little too close to the Thanksgiving turkey. Reddit user Base Rith wrote about how on Thanksgiving his grandmother was working hard and getting everything ready for the big feast. Earlier in the day, she had cut off some giblet off the turkey and thrown it to her dog Roscoe, who happily consumed the tasty treat. But I guess the little doggy's tummy couldn't handle such a rich snack, because later that day, our Redditor's grandmother had a chaotic moment going down in the kitchen. There was something burning on the stovetop and the turkey needed to come out of the oven at the same time. She had to act fast. The move was to take the turkey pot out of the oven with the turkey in it and place it on the ground for just a second, and then she would move something off the stove to make room for the turkey. She pulled this move off, and then right when she put the turkey on the ground, right in that split second, Roscoe's tummy couldn't handle his treat and he shot liquid poo all over the freshly cooked turkey. Oh my god, the centerpiece of the whole meal would have been ruined in a second. That's absolutely heartbreaking, and I guess you could always turn to deep frying your turkey. I heard that cooks it really fast. At number 9, we have Thanksgiving happened every year. Some people think that Thanksgiving started in the 1600s and has been an unbroken chain of thankfulness ever since then. Well, that is extremely false. It wasn't until the 1940s that Thanksgiving was consistent, and it definitely wasn't consistent back in the 16 and 1700s. The scary part about this urban legend is it's basically a cover-up. The idea that Thanksgiving has existed throughout the setting of America would give the impression that there was a constant time of peace between the Native Americans and the European settlers. Which, if you know anything about history, you know that the Europeans were ruthless, and the way they treated the Native Americans is one of the worst stains on human history. There wasn't annual meetings of peace. There was constant carnage as European troops spread disease and nearly wiped out an entire race of people in one of the worst genocides of all time. Coming in at number 8, we have Shoplifter. Some people are willing to do anything to make sure that they have a Thanksgiving that goes off without a hitch, but sometimes you should just step back and realize that it's not worth going to prison so you and your family members can have a turkey that day. Reddit user XTouch wrote about one Thanksgiving his aunt couldn't make it because she was in jail, and the reason that she was in jail because she was shoplifting a turkey. Wait, what? Did I just say that right? Yes, our Reddit user said that his aunt tried to shoplift a 20-pound bird and thought no one would notice. How on earth do you think you're gonna get away with something like that? It's a massive turkey. That's like trying to sneak out of the gym with dumbbells or something. It's not going to happen. At number 7, we have They Look So Similar. We're going back to stories of grannies that have made a little mistake while they were getting the big bird ready. This one smelled a lot better than the other one. This was written on Reddit by GJ Lich 22, and they wrote about how one day they were in the kitchen helping their grandma put everything together for the big day, and then they saw her reach over for what they thought was cooking oil and pour it over the turkey. But this liquid came out of the bottle in a strange way. It didn't flow out of the container. It kind of glooped out and it was too thick. Can cooking oil go bad? Well, this Redditor quickly realized that the grandma had just poured dish soap all over the turkey. I guess you could wash the turkey after this if it hadn't already gone in the oven, but it might be a write-off. It might be faster to scramble out on Thanksgiving to go find a turkey to replace the one you just flavored like pine sol. Coming in number 6, we have the growth. It seems like turkey mishaps come in all shapes and sizes. Even if you cook it right and don't have any of the mix-up with the ingredients, then you could still have something hiding inside your bird. Apparently one Thanksgiving, someone named Clarissa talked about how everything seemed perfect on this Thanksgiving. Everyone showed up on time. No family member got into an argument. This was a rarity in their household, but I guess because everything was going so smoothly, something had to go wrong. They all sat down at the table and her dad started to cut into the turkey and started to slice off pieces and place them onto everyone's plate. But then just before they were going to dig in, they noticed something strange in the turkey. A growth that was full of bugs. Everyone was immediately grossed out, and I guess the person who raised this turkey didn't do a very good job to make sure that there was nothing contaminated inside of it. This was absolutely disgusting, and everyone lost their appetites, and eventually they got into a massive family fight. Coming in at number 5, we have my car. Sometimes you don't even need to wait until Thanksgiving to have something horrible happen to you. You just need to be prepping for the day and things can go awry. Reddit user Moby323 wrote about the time he had just bought a new car. He had a brand new shiny Subaru BRZ sitting in his garage. He was so happy about it, and a few days before Thanksgiving, he and his wife needed to pick up some essentials for the big day. He obviously wanted to take his car out for the short trip, and one of the things they grabbed was a turkey, but this wasn't just any turkey, it was a brine turkey. Basically a massive bird that was floating around in some meat juice with a thick plastic bag covering it. When they got home, our Redditor went to grab the groceries out of the bag and noticed liquid sloshing around in the back of the trunk, and quickly realized that the bag of brine that was holding the turkey in place had ruptured and shot wet, sloppy meat juice all over the place.
I'm serious about this stuff.
This was a horror show. He quickly grabbed a shop vac and some towels to clean up the mess and make sure that there wasn't meat juice floating around in the back of his car. Poor dude. Coming in at number 4, we have the shutdown. Not every dark story has to be someone creepy or something horrible happening to your food. Sometimes it can be someone getting humiliated in front of nearly 50 people. Reddit user Ashes94 talked about the time that everyone sat down at the dinner table for Thanksgiving. This was one of the biggest get-togethers that they have ever had. Almost 50 people spread out through the dining room. In a moment of silence, his cousin's boyfriend stands up and gets down on one knee and proposes to his cousin, and in that moment, she says no.
We're friends. We're just friends, but he wants it.
Can we talk about this not in front of everyone, Jesse?
I couldn't imagine something more embarrassing, because right after that finishes, you would have to sit at the table and eat in front of everyone like the biggest loser in the world. And if I was there, I would have to leave the table because I would be laughing so goddamn hard. Coming in at number 3, we have something was off. I really hope I never host a Thanksgiving because so many things can go wrong. I'd rather just show up and bring a side and some booze and have a really good time and then wash some dishes and then go home. That's it. Way less stress for me. Well, I have one story for you about a night when everything seemed to go off without a hitch. Everyone ate the feast and loved it, everyone ate the dessert and loved it, and now everyone was in the state of comatose when everyone sits down to digest after the meal is done. In this time that's supposed to be for relaxation, people started to seem agitated. A few people started to feel stomach pains, and one by one people started to rush to the bathroom. Something was wrong with the food. Everyone needed to either throw up or go number 2 right now, and there were only 2 bathrooms in the house. People started to rush outside into the cold with toilet paper in hand. Everyone had to spend the night because one of the dishes was contaminated and no one could be even 5 feet away from a toilet. And coming into the number 1 spot, we have a big thief. If you live in the country, then you might want to make sure you keep your doors locked when you're cooking a turkey, because who knows what you're going to attract. A Reddit user talked about a time when they went out to have Thanksgiving at their sister's place who lived out in the country. They had a beautiful big house in the middle of nowhere. Everything was set for people to eat, and the turkey had just come out of the oven. His sister stepped out of the kitchen for a moment to grab something, and in that second there was a loud crash. Everyone rushed into the kitchen to see a cougar perched up on the countertop with the bird in its mouth and staring back at them.
Roar! No. No. I'm big and scary. I'm big and
I think it's safe to say that everyone was frozen in place and no one was eager to get into a scrap with the massive cat. On the bright side, when the cougar saw how many people were in the house, it took off out the window with the bird and left the family alone. They locked the windows, and after that I think they were going to only be eating sides that night. At number 10, we have the wishbone. If you cut into a whole turkey or even a chicken, then you might come across a wishbone. It's a bone shaped like a U, and what you're supposed to do is have one person grab on one side, another person grab on another side, and then both people pull. You both make a wish, and the person who gets the bigger side of the bone gets their wish granted. It's an old little trick you can do. There is a legend about a boy on Thanksgiving who was upset with his family. He wanted to spend Thanksgiving weekend with his friends, but his family wouldn't let him because Thanksgiving is about spending time with your family. So he spent it with his family. The The wishbone was found, he took it, split it with his sister, and then he wished his whole family would just leave him alone. The wishbone snapped and he got the larger side. That night he went to bed a little grumpy, but when he woke up in the morning he would have a lot more to worry about. The next day he was the first one awake. He went downstairs and started playing video games. A few hours had passed and still no one had gotten up. So he decided to go check on his parents. He walked into the room and they weren't there. So he went to go check in his sister's room and she wasn't there as well. Come to think of it, the family dog was nowhere to be found. He searched the whole house until eventually he had to call the police. They came and after investigation, nothing could be found as to where his family went. The boy was then put into the foster system and the disappearance of his family was never explained. A classic case of be careful what you wish for. This sounds like an old tale to tell kids to be thankful for their families, but who knows? Coming in number 9 we have the creep. Not every mishap that goes down on Thanksgiving is going to involve someone ruining a turkey. Sometimes it's someone you bring into your home that shouldn't have been there in the first place. This was thrown on Reddit and they wrote about a person who was invited to their Thanksgiving one year by their cousin. This person was kind of creepy. They gave off a weird vibe and for whatever reason they had very shifty eyes. They barely spoke and when they did it was in a stressful manner. No one seemed to care, but the person writing this Reddit story wanted to keep an eye on them. The night went on, everyone had dinner, and everyone went home. The next day, many members from the family's home noticed that they had items missing from the rooms, whether it was jewelry, money, video games, or even clothing. Did this stranger steal from all the rooms while they weren't paying attention? They tried to contact their cousin, but they couldn't get a hold of them, and they never found out what happened to all of their possessions. And guys, make sure you hit that like button because it really helps us out. At number 8, we have the busiest shopping day of the year is Black Friday. I talked about this in the intro, and it wouldn't be a Thanksgiving list without a couple points about Black Friday. The common conception about Black Friday is that it has always been and always will be the busiest shopping day of the year. Now it has been a very busy shopping day for a very long time, but it was never the busiest. It wasn't until 2003 that Black Friday took the title of Supreme Sales Overlord. Before that, Black Friday would just sit somewhere in the top 5, usually around number 4. It wasn't even on the podium. Now, how did this beautiful day of mob mentality work its way all the way to the top? Well, it was just marketing. Heavy marketing campaigns across several companies like Walmart, Target, and Best Buy, and so many others got Americans revved up and bloodthirsty for slightly better sales. They manipulated all of us into thinking we needed to shop till we drop on Black Friday, and it worked. This holiday is so serious that it is stretched into Canada and the UK. Black Friday is so big it even has a sister holiday, Cyber Monday. The day is so big they had to stretch it. Christmas doesn't even get that treatment. At number 7, Thanksgiving was a trap. Thanksgiving is supposed to be a time when the Native Americans and settlers came together in peace to share food and give thanks. But there are some historians who think this might have all been a ploy. What better way to gain someone's trust than to cook them a bunch of food? It's like when someone crazy asks you out and you say no, but they're like, hey, come over and I'll cook dinner for you, and you're like, well, I guess I could risk it. The more I've dug around the internet, the more tidbits I found that the settlers might have been planning an attack on the Native Americans way before Thanksgiving, that they used the celebration as a way to get closer to them, and then once they were in, they turned their guns on them and started to wipe them out. At number 6, we have halal turkeys. There was a rumor floating around that the company Butterball was secretly making halal turkeys. As this rumor spread around, there were a few people, not many, but there were a few that were up in arms about secretly being given halal turkeys, which they called terrorist turkeys, which is super racist. First off, I need to state this is not true. Butterball isn't secretly making halal turkeys, but the reason I put this on this list of scary Thanksgiving urban legends is because it's scary that people cared. Who cares if you're eating halal meat? It doesn't make a difference. Do you feel weird about eating kosher meat? Because it's almost the same thing. Thanksgiving is about being thankful and coming together, not making false rumors and freaking out because you might be exposed to another culture. But like I said, most people don't care about this at all. If you know someone who does care about eating a halal turkey, then you should probably stop hanging out with them. It's not a big deal at all. At number 5, we have maggot pumpkins. There was a rumor flying around a few years ago that the canned pumpkin you can buy to make pumpkin pie had a certain percentage of maggot DNA in it. Basically, people were saying that companies who make this stuff were using old rotted pumpkins that were filled with maggots and throwing them in with the good pumpkins. Those maggots would then get blended up and millions of Americans would be eating pumpkin pie with a hint of fly larvae. Very very gross. Of course, this was quickly debunked, probably because it wasn't true, or was it a cover-up by big evil pumpkin companies? At number 3, we have Macy Day Parade deaths. One of the biggest events of Thanksgiving is the massive Macy's Day Parade. There's a bunch of floats, a ton of balloons, and everyone is dressed up in their best fall fashion look. Throughout the years of the parade, there have been rumors that people have been killed. Some of them talk about a rogue balloon or float crashing into the crowd and mowing down hundreds of people. Other urban legends talk about a riot breaking out and cops firing right into the crowd. I did as much digging as I could find, and I couldn't find any hard evidence to confirm any of these rumors, but I did find this amazing video. At number 2, we have the Macy's Day Parade killer. Let's keep on the theme of brutality at parades made for kids and families. I've heard of this legend many times, that there's a person, a serial killer, who picks their victim every year at the Macy's Day Parade. It's unknown what this person looks like or why they choose the parade to seek out their victim. Maybe they want to be thankful for something just like the rest of us. This killer never harms his victim at the parade but waits until the night of Thanksgiving. Maybe slips into their window while they're in a food coma from eating too much stuffing, or waits until they go out for a smoke break after their meal. The reason this psycho uses the cover of the parade to stalk his victim is because it makes him harder to find. In the crowd, they can watch, they can take pictures, they can follow you back to your car, they can write down your license plate, and then just wait. Wait until the perfect moment to make sure this Thanksgiving will be your last. Whoa. And at number 1 on the list, we have Cannibal Thanksgiving, another classic urban legend of Thanksgiving. A family gets together for their regular Thanksgiving rituals. All the kids come through, some aunts and uncles, but this year something is different. Aunt Becky has everyone over year after year for turkey, but this year she's serving ham. Some people are a little disappointed, but they all sit down and start eating and everyone is having a good time. One thing is off, Uncle Tom isn't there, and Aunt Becky uses this as an opportunity to tell everyone that her and Uncle Tom have gotten a divorce. He won't be joining them this evening. Everyone eats, laughs, has a great time. Now it's time to clean up. All of the kids help, they pack up all the leftovers, and all the leftover ham gets bagged up and ready to put in the freezer. They keep it in there so they can make some soup later. Becky says not to worry about it, that she'll take care of putting everything away. Becky steps away into the bathroom for a moment, and one of the younger boys thinks, well, I'll just pack it up and then I'll go put it into the freezer while she's in the bathroom so she doesn't have to worry about it. So he heads into the garage carrying a few bags of meat, opens up the chest freezer, and then is paralyzed with fear. In the freezer is a face he recognizes. Then the lights of the garage turn off. Boom, boom, boom. That's where it ends.